Hey everyone, I've had several requests for a tutorial on how to do a half hexagon for this 3D flower Hexi. I shared this in another video, but it's quite outdated now, so I thought I'd go ahead and do a recap of how to do this hexagon, share the half hexagon, and then how to join these as you go. And if you're interested in how to do a straight edge border, I'll be sure to talk about that at the end of the video. I've added timestamps along the progress line so you can jump to your point of interest, or you can find the links in the description box below. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that for these flowers, I'm going to be doing half double crochets for the centers and treble crochets for the petals. So if you want to do a smaller version of this, I would recommend that you do single crochets for your center and follow along and do the same technique but use double crochets instead of trebles. So to get started with the one that you see here, I'm going to start with a magic circle, but if you prefer, you can start with a chain of 4 and secure with a slip stitch to form a ring. Once you have your ring ready or your magic loop ready, do 12 half double crochets. Since I'm doing half doubles, I'm going to chain up 1 to get started. That's going to serve as my first half double crochet. And then to do half double crochets, it's yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, double check that you have 12 stitches, and then finish off by slip stitching to the very first stitch. For the petals, we're going to be doing treble crochets, and we're going to be doing 5 treble crochets together. Now you do have a choice here. You can either work on the right or wrong side of your center here. When I mean the wrong side, I mean the side with the tail hanging out. If you work on the wrong side with this, your petal is going to naturally puff to the front. But if you work on the right side, it's not a big deal. You can always physically push the yarn to make the puff go in the right direction. So starting on the wrong side, go ahead and fasten on to the top of any of your 12 stitches. I'm going to start with a single crochet and chain 2 more. This will give me the equivalent of a treble crochet. To do treble crochets together, it's very easy to do. You're just going to behave as if you're doing a treble crochet, but once you're halfway through it, you're going to stop and begin another one. We're going to do that 5 times. Yarn over twice, go through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and stop. Instead of finishing your treble, we're going to start another. Yarn over twice, go through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. We have 3 bars here so far, or 3 trebles. We want to have a total of 5. Yarn over twice, go through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and we have 4. One more time, yarn over twice, go through the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we have all 5, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops. Chain 1 to secure, and as you can see, it's puffing, and that's why we're doing it from the wrong side. Chain 2 more. We're doing this to get down to the center here, and we're going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch. Chain 2 or 3, whatever you like best, just to give yourself some height to work into the next petal. Now into the next stitch, we're going to repeat the process for our second petal. Yarn over twice, going into the stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, stop, and continue on to make your next petal. I've reached the last petal. I'm getting ready to yarn over and pull through all the loops. Chain 3. And in the very last stitch, I'm going to do a slip stitch again. And at this point you can fasten off, or you can go into the original petal there and do another slip stitch. And that's what I like to do. We're getting ready to start the hexagon shape, and to do that we're going to be forming corners in between each one of these petals. To do that we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets within this space here. Go ahead and put a slip knot on your hook. I'm just going to do my usual. I'm going to pull through and do a single crochet to start as my first, chain 2 more. You can do 2 or 3 chains here, whatever you prefer, whatever gets you to the height of a double crochet. Now 2 more double crochets. Chain 2. In the same space, we're going to do 3 more double crochets. And I know that looks like a lot of fiber in between these petals, but once you're finished, they will tuck behind your petals. So I go straight into the next petal with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets into the same space. We've reached the end here. You should have 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have your 6 points, go ahead and fasten off. I'm just going to go into the top of that first chain 2 or 3 with a slip stitch. Now, as you can see, it's a bit funky. Don't worry about that. Just take a few seconds here to just put things back into shape. You're pulling your pebbles into the front and tucking your leaves into the back. We're ready for round 4, and it's really easy to do. We're going to form corners and sides. So for the sides, we're going to be doing 3 double crochets, and then in the corners, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. I'm going to start on the side here. I'm fastening on with a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1 more to make my first double crochets. You may prefer another chain here. It's completely up to you. This is serving as my first double crochet. So I'm doing 2 more doubles to form the side. We're in our first corner, 2 double crochets. You may also notice that I don't do chains in between my clusters. That's just a personal preference. If you want to have a little bit more space, or if it's tightening up too much on you and curling up, you can go ahead and put a chain space in between your clusters. So to form the first half of my corner, I did 2 double crochets, chain 2, and now I'm doing 2 more doubles. Going into the next side here with 3 doubles, and just repeat this all the way around. And we've reached the end of this round, and I'm just going to do a slip stitch into the top of that very first chain 2 or 3 to finish the round. So this is going to be a fairly quick overview, but whenever you're doing a join as you go, you always want to complete one square or hexagon first, just like you see here. This is how you're going to begin your join as you go technique. Next, you're going to join to one side with your next hexagon. For me, I usually like to go ahead and get that done as soon as possible. So to do that, I'm going to start on a side here and just do my 3 double crochets. And I'm going to attach in a corner. So I'm going to start half of my corner, and that's 2 doubles. I have 2 chains. I'm going to use one of them to attach. So I'm going to chain 1, and then going into the corner of the previous hexagon, I'm going to do a slip stitch to attach. And now I'm going to finish the other side of the corner with 2 doubles. Great. Next is another side, and before I move on to this side, you're just mirroring what you did in the previous hexagon. So before I move on to the next set of clusters, I'm going to join in this little space here, and you're going to do the same for all of the spaces. So I'm just going to slip stitch to attach or join as I go. Now I'm ready to do my 3 doubles. And as you can see, it's just mirroring what you did before. And now I'm going to join into this space to hold it together with a slip stitch. I'm at a corner, so I'm going to do half of it. That's 2 doubles. For my corners, I'm doing 2 chains, but I'm going to use one of them to join into this corner. So you can either chain 1 and join, or join and chain 1, totally up to you. Okay, chain 1, and then the other half of that corner. And that's all you need to do for the second hexagon. Now just finish your round as you normally would, and that's all there is to it. And the concept is the same for the entire blanket or project that you're working on. You're always going to be joining in between clusters and using one of the chains in the corner to attach. And then once you work on your third one, you'll be dealing with these V kind of spaces here where you have an intersection of 2 hexagons that you need to join to. Super easy to do as well. You would be wanting to do your third hexagon into this space here, and that's what we're going to do. Again, I would personally recommend that you go ahead and do the joining process as close to the beginning as possible. Start with a side like I'm doing here. Let's pretend like I hadn't done any work on this yet. So I've done my first side. I'm going to go ahead and join into the corner like I've been. Just 2 double crochets. Chain 1. And then go ahead and join into that corner. That second chain that I would have done normally is going to serve as my join here. And then the other half of the corner, 2 doubles. Okay. Don't forget to join before you do your next cluster. We're on a side again, so we're just mimicking what we have already. So that's 3. Okay, we're coming to that corner, but before we work our next cluster, always remember to join. There we go. You have a couple of options here. It's really up to you how you do this. You're going to work your first half like you normally would. And you have 2 chains, right? So you can use 1 to slip stitch into this corner and 1 to slip stitch into this other corner. Or you can go right in between both of them and do a slip stitch. Do a chain 1, and that's just to count as one of my 2 chains. I'm going to go right in between the 2 and do my slip stitch. And then finish the corner as normal, 2 doubles. And that's all there is to it. And before I work on another side, I remembered to join into the space. And I'm at another corner, so I do half of it. And again, I have 2 chains, so I'm going to use 1 to slip stitch into that corner, and then 1 just to give me a little bit of wiggle room, and finish that side. 2 doubles. To do a half hexagon, we're basically just going to copy half of a regular hexagon to make it. So go ahead and create a magic circle or chain 4 with a slip stitch, however you want to start your ring. And instead of doing 12 half double crochets, you're going to do 6 half double crochets. So I'm chaining 1. This is going to serve as my first half double, and now I'm going to do 5 more to make a total of 6. Once you have your 6 half double crochets finished, do not form a circle. You're just going to fasten off without slip stitching. To make the petals, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to be making 3 petals instead of 6. Fasten on however you like best. Chain 2 or 3 to serve as your first treble crochet. We're doing 5 together. Chain 3, and just like before, you're going to find your next stitch and do a slip stitch to anchor it down. Chain 2, and since we didn't fasten off and form a circle, we don't have that stitch to work into for our final. So working into that same stitch that you just did your petal, go ahead and do a slip stitch to finish. To create the leaves or round 3, we're going to go ahead and work into the very first chain 3 or treble crochet, however you want to refer to it, on the sides of your petal. So I'm going to be working right in here, and I'm going to work 3 double crochets. This is going to be the equivalent of a side. Fasten on however you like best. Chain 2 or 3, whatever you like for your doubles. And in the same stitch, I'm going to do 2 more. And now we're going to form our first corner, and we're going to do it just the way we did in the beginning, and that's 3 doubles. Chain 2, 3 doubles, all in the same stitch. And we're going to repeat that now. We're doing another corner, so that's 3 doubles into the space between those petals. And like we did at the beginning, we're going to do our final 3 doubles in that very first space between the first 2 trebles in that petal. For the final round of your half hexagon, I'm going to go ahead and do the join as you go technique to show you both how to make this half hexagon and how to join it. You're going to fasten on into the very corner of this leaf. I'm just going into the space right between the first double and the second double. I'm going to do a chain 2 to serve as my first double crochet. Now, if you're not joining as you go, go ahead and do 1 more double crochet. You want to have 2 double crochets in this first corner. If you are joining as you go, I would recommend that you join now into a corner and then do your double crochet. If you are joining as you go, go ahead and join to that space there. Before you work this side cluster, we're going to do 3 double crochets in this space. This is a side, so it's 3 doubles. Time to join in between clusters. So if you're joining as you go, go ahead and join now. If not, just skip to the next part, which is a corner. We're going to do 2 doubles. Chain 1, And with your second one, go ahead and slip stitch in between these two panels. Or if you want, you can take your 2 chains and slip stitch into this corner and into this corner. Completely up to you. However you want to join, go ahead and join now. And then finishing that corner with 2 more double crochets. We are joining right here between these 2 clusters, and then doing our 3 doubles. Remember, it's 3 double crochets on the sides and 2 double crochets, chain 2 on the corners. We're at the other side now, so we're going to do 2 double crochets into the space between these 2 doubles from round 3. And go ahead and slip stitch into that corner, but do not fasten off. Go ahead and chain 1 to give yourself some wiggle room here. What we're going to be doing is finish this half hexagon with single crochets to make it level with the rest of your project. And typically for me, I've found that 2 single crochets in each of these rounds works the best. So I'm going to do 2. 2. I go right into that first petal with 2. And then at the end, I go ahead into that corner of the other hexagon and do a slip stitch. Now, if you think that's a bit of a dip, you could always try a double crochet in here to straighten this edge, or you could add a couple of stitches here. I'm not too fussy about it because I know I can fix a lot of these dips and dives with another border of single crochets when I'm completely finished. If you're interested in learning more about how to do a border for a hexagon blanket, I did another video recently that has the same final rounds as this one. So I would recommend that you watch that, and I'll add a link here for you to take you to that. In that video, you can also see how to handle and straighten these little dips here if you want a straight border.